Your fiancé is a fraud, and you, darling, are a fifth-rate con artist. Constance Whitmore's words echoed through the crystal ballroom like a cannon shot, and I felt each syllable pierce my chest like glass shards. Not because of the offense itself. God knows I've been called worse things in boardrooms, but because of the expression of pure terror on that unknown woman's face beside me. Her green eyes widened, her hand trembled holding the champagne flute, and I realized in that instant that she was about to crumble. And I, Steve Crane, heir to the Crane Industries empire, have no idea why. But I lied. She's my fiancée. Now 48 hours later, I'm sitting in my panoramic office on the 52nd floor, watching Manhattan stretch below me like a chessboard, while she, Marlo Reed, I discovered her real name to be, is on the other side of my mahogany desk, biting her lower lip hard enough to draw blood. "Are you insane?" she finally explodes, rising from the chair. The cheap floral dress contrasts brutally with the luxury furnishings around her. 3 months pretending to be your fiancé? You saved me from being arrested for trespassing and fraud only to make me your actress, I complete, drumming my fingers on the desk. Think of it as a job. Well paid, by the way. She laughs, but it's a humorless sound. I don't even know why you did that. Why the hell did you confirm I was your fiancé when you'd never seen me in your life? Excellent question. One, I've been avoiding answering to myself. Maybe it was the desperate courage in her eyes when Constance accused her. Or the fact that my grandmother, the suffocating matriarch who controls the company shares, was at that ball expecting to meet a fiancé I promised to introduce but who doesn't exist. Or maybe, just maybe, I was tired of playing by the rules. You used my name to get into the Whitmore charity ball, I say, keeping my tone neutral. You told the security guard you were Marlo Crane, my fiancé. Pretty bold for a waitress. She blushes, confirms my lightning-fast investigation about her. I needed to get into that event. I had my reasons. Which are none of my business, I agree, standing and rounding the desk. She takes a step back, instinctively. But now you owe me one. A big one, because when I confirmed your version to Constance and my grandmother, I committed myself, and Steve Crane doesn't break commitments. Then break it this time. I can't. I run my hand through my hair, frustrated. My grandmother is 94 years old and controls 51% of the company shares. She said she'll only pass control to me when I prove I can commit to something besides numbers and business, meaning when I get married. I said I was engaged to buy time. You showed up. I confirmed. Now you're trapped in your own lie, she concludes, crossing her arms. There's something wild about her, something that intrigues me. And you want to drag me along. $50,000. I throw out the offer. For 3 months. You just need to show up at a few events, family dinners, convince my grandmother we're in love. Then we end the engagement amicably, and we each go our separate ways. Richer. I see the conflict in her eyes. Need battling against pride. Why me? She whispers. And that's where I should lie. Make up something about convenience or opportunity. But there's an inconvenient truth pounding in my chest. Because when you were about to be thrown out of that ball, you raised your chin and looked Constance Whitmore in the eyes as if you were the queen of the world. And I thought, this is exactly the kind of woman my grandmother would believe I'd choose. Marlo stares at me for a long moment, and then, surprisingly, laughs. You really are insane. Is that a yes? She sighs, defeated. 3 months, not 1 day more. When we shake hands, we ignore the electric spark that runs through our intertwined fingers. We ignore it, but we don't forget it. The contract sits between us like a live grenade. Rule number 1, Marlo says, tapping the document with her index finger. We're in my penthouse now, because apparently my lawyer insisted we establish parameters before this circus begins. No kissing. I raise an eyebrow. We're supposed to be engaged. Fine. Kissing for show only, nothing private. Her cheeks flush pink, and I find it oddly satisfying that I'm not the only one affected by the electricity that crackled between us 2 days ago. Agreed, I say, leaning back in the leather chair. Rule number 2, you move in here. Absolutely not. She stands up so fast her chair scrapes against the hardwood floor. That wasn't part of the deal. My grandmother isn't senile, Marlo. She'll expect us to be living together. She'll probably show up unannounced to check. I watch her pace across my living room, her second-hand sneakers squeaking slightly. You'll have your own bedroom, entire wing actually. This place has 4 bedrooms. She stops at the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring out at Central Park sprawled below us like a green carpet. I have a life, Steve. A job. An apartment. A studio in Queens that you share with 2 roommates and a cat named Pickles, I say, and she whirls around. You investigated me? Of course I did. Did you think I'd enter a 3-month engagement with a complete stranger? I stand, moving closer. You work 3 jobs. Waitress at Morelli's, dog walker in the mornings, and weekend shifts at a bookstore in Brooklyn. You're behind on student loans. Your car died last month. You haven't been home to see your family in Oregon in 2 years. The anger in her eyes shifts to something vulnerable, and I immediately regret my words. You don't know anything about me, she says quietly. Those are just facts. They're not me. She's right, and the realization unsettles me. Then tell me who you are. Why? So you can use it against me? She crosses her arms, defensive walls slamming back into place. Let's just stick to the contract, Mr. Crane. You want a fake fiancé, I need the money. Simple transaction. But it doesn't feel simple. Nothing about this feels simple. Rule number 3, I continue, pulling out my phone. We need a story. How we met, when I proposed, why we kept it secret until now. Marlo returns to the couch, tucking one leg under her. We met at a charity event 6 months ago. You spilled wine on my dress, insisted on buying me a new one. We started talking and couldn't stop. I'm impressed. That's actually believable. Romantic, even. I read a lot of romance novels, she admits, and there's the ghost of a smile on her lips. The proposal? Rooftop dinner. I had the ring hidden in a dessert, but you found it before the waiter served it because you were sneaking bites from the kitchen. She laughs, genuinely this time, and the sound does something strange to my chest. That's very specific. My grandmother loves specific details. Trust me. I sit beside her, close enough to smell her shampoo. Something floral and cheap and somehow intoxicating. We kept it secret because of the media attention. We wanted time to ourselves before the circus began. But then I stupidly told someone, word got around, and I ended up at the Whitmore ball trying to surprise you. Marlo continues, catching on. Only Constance Whitmore recognized me and assumed I was a fraud because she'd never heard of me. And I confirmed the engagement, making it impossible to back out. I extend my hand. Partners? She looks at my hand for a long moment. What happens after 3 months, when we break up? We say we realized we wanted different things. Part amicably. You'll have $50,000 and a glowing reference for whatever you want to do next. And you'll have your grandmother's approval and control of the company. Everyone wins. She takes my hand. Her palm is warm, slightly calloused. Everyone wins, she echoes, but neither of us sounds convinced. My phone buzzes. A text from my grandmother's assistant. Evelyn expects you both for brunch tomorrow at the estate. 11 a.m. sharp. Do not be late. Looks like we're meeting the family sooner than expected, I tell Marlo, showing her the message. The color drains from her face. Tomorrow? Steve, I don't know anything about your world. I can't fool a 94-year-old business mogul in less than 24 hours. You fooled security at the Whitmore ball. That was desperation, not skill. She stands again, running her hands through her dark hair. Your grandmother built an empire. She's going to see right through me. I catch her wrist, gently, stopping her frantic pacing. Hey, look at me. Those green eyes meet mine, filled with panic. My grandmother is brilliant, yes. But she's also been nagging me about marriage for 5 years. She wants to believe this is real. So we give her what she wants to see. I squeeze her wrist softly. You raised your chin and faced down Constance Whitmore. You can handle one brunch. Constance Whitmore didn't raise you. She doesn't know what questions to ask. Fair point. Then we prepare. Tonight. I'll tell you everything you need to know about the Crane family, and you tell me what I need to know about you. By tomorrow, we'll be convincing. She searches my face for something, reassurance maybe, or proof that this insane plan could actually work. And if we're not convincing, then we'll deal with it together. The words surprise me as much as they seem to surprise her. You're not alone in this, Marlo. For a moment, we just stand there, connected by my hand on her wrist, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind us through the windows. Okay, she finally whispers. Let's do this. I release her wrist, already missing the warmth. I'll order dinner. You like Italian? Who doesn't like Italian? She manages a small smile. But nothing fancy. I'm still a girl from Oregon who thinks Olive Garden is a treat. And just like that, I learned the first real thing about Marlo Reed. She's honest in a world where I'm surrounded by people who never say what they mean. It's terrifying and refreshing in equal measure. Pizza it is, I say, pulling out my phone. And then, Ms. Reed, we become the most convincing fake couple New York has ever seen. No pressure, she mutters, but she's smiling. Outside, the city lights begin to twinkle on, one by one, like stars falling to earth. And inside, two strangers begin the dangerous game of pretending to be in love. The terrifying part isn't the pretending. It's that it already feels a little too real. The Crane estate in Greenwich looks like something out of a Gothic novel. All stone walls, manicured gardens, and windows that seem to watch you like judging eyes. Marlo's hand trembles slightly as I help her out of the car. Breathe, I whisper, placing my hand on the small of her back. She's wearing a navy dress I bought her yesterday. Modest, elegant, expensive enough to look like she belongs, but not so flashy that it screams new money. Easy for you to say. You grew up here. And I've been terrified of my grandmother my entire life, I admit. So we're even. She glances up at me, surprised, and some of the tension leaves her shoulders. Really? Really? Evelyn Crane doesn't suffer fools, and she certainly doesn't suffer lies. I ring the doorbell, hearing it echo inside. Which is why we need to be perfect today. The door swings open before Marlo can respond. Jenkins, the family butler who's been here since my father was a child, stands in the entrance with his usual impassive expression. Master Steve. And this must be Miss Reed. His eyes scan Marlo with the precision of a jewelry appraiser. Mrs. Crane is expecting you in the conservatory. We follow Jenkins through hallways lined with oil paintings of stern-faced Crane ancestors. I feel Marlo's breathing quicken beside me. You didn't tell me your house was a museum, she hisses. Technically, it's my grandmother's house. I just suffered through childhood here. The conservatory is all glass and light, filled with exotic plants that probably cost more than most people's cars. And there, sitting in a high-backed wicker chair like a queen on her throne, is Evelyn Crane. At 94, my grandmother is still formidable. Silver hair pulled back in a severe bun, posture ramrod straight, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. She's wearing pearls because of course she is. You're 3 minutes late, she says without looking up from her teacup. Traffic on the Merit, I lie smoothly, moving forward. Grandmother, I'd like you to officially meet Marlo Reed. My grandmother finally looks up, and her gaze locks onto Marlo like a missile finding its target. The girl who doesn't exist. Marlo freezes beside me. This is it. This is where everything falls apart. But then Marlo does something extraordinary. She steps forward, extends her hand, and smiles. I exist, Mrs. Crane. I've just been very good at staying out of the spotlight. Steve wanted to keep our relationship private as long as possible. Her voice is steady, confident. I hope you can understand that. My grandmother stares at the offered hand for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she takes it. Sit, both of you. She gestures to the chairs across from her. Jenkins, bring the brunch and the ring. Marlowe and I exchange a quick glance. The ring? We sit as Jenkins disappears. My grandmother pours tea with movements so precise they could be choreographed. Sugar? She asks Marlowe. 2, please. Wrong answer. My grandmother's eyebrow arches. Steve takes his coffee black, no sugar. I would think his fiancée would take her tea the same way, similar tastes and all. Actually, grandmother, I like that Marlowe has her own preferences, I interject. I've dated enough women who mirrored everything I did. It was exhausting. She hands Marlowe the teacup. Tell me, Miss Reed, where did you attend university? Portland State, Marlowe says, and I can see her bracing for judgment. I studied English literature. And now you work as a waitress, among other things. Marlowe meets my grandmother's gaze without flinching. I'm not ashamed of honest work, Mrs. Crane. My parents raised me to believe that all work has dignity. Silence. Long enough that I'm about to intervene when my grandmother's lips curve into something that might almost be a smile. Your parents raised you well, then. She sips her tea. Most girls who chase my grandson do so for the wrong reasons. At least you're honest about who you are. Jenkins returns with a silver tray bearing pastries, fruit, and a small velvet box. My stomach drops. This, my grandmother says, opening the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, was my engagement ring. My grandmother's before that. 4 generations of Crane brides have worn it. Marlowe's eyes widen. The ring is worth at least $200,000. I don't understand, she says quietly. If you're to marry my grandson, you'll wear the family ring, not some modern monstrosity he bought in a panic. She pulls the ring from the box, holding it up to the light. Let's see if it fits. Grandmother, we already have a ring. I start, but she cuts me off with a look. Do you? Then where is it? Marlowe's left hand is bare. We forgot. We forgot to buy a ring. It's being sized, Marlowe says quickly. Too quickly. Steve proposed with a placeholder, and I wanted the real ring to fit perfectly. My grandmother's eyes narrow. She knows we're lying. I can see it in the way she's looking at both of us, calculating, analyzing. How did he propose? Marlowe launches into our rehearsed story about the rooftop dinner and finding the ring in the dessert. She's good, adding little details we didn't discuss, like how she started crying before she even said yes, how I dropped the ring when I tried to put it on her finger. But my grandmother isn't smiling. Stand up, she commands. We both stand, confused. Closer. Stand like an engaged couple would stand. I move beside Marlowe, my hand instinctively finding her waist. She leans into me slightly, and the fit is natural. Too natural. Kiss her, my grandmother orders. Marlowe's breath catches. We discussed this. Kissing for show only. But not this soon. Not as a test. Grandmother, if you're truly in love, you should have no problem kissing your fiancé. Those steel eyes bore into mine. Unless there's something you'd like to tell me? Marlowe turns to me, and I see the panic in her eyes. But I also see something else. Determination. She's not going to let us fail. I cup her face gently, giving her a moment to pull away if she wants. She doesn't. Our lips meet, and the world tilts. It's supposed to be for show, a simple, convincing kiss to fool my grandmother. But the moment our mouths touch, something ignites. Her hands grip my shirt, and I pull her closer, forgetting where we are, forgetting why we're doing this. The kiss deepens. She tastes like the strawberry she ate earlier, sweet and intoxicating. When we finally break apart, we're both breathless. Well, my grandmother says, and there's something knowing in her voice. Perhaps you're not entirely lying after all. Marlowe's face is flushed, her lips slightly swollen. I probably don't look much better. "The ring," my grandmother says, holding it out. "Let's see if fate agrees with you both." Marlowe extends her hand, and I slide the ring onto her finger. It fits perfectly. "Interesting," my grandmother murmurs. "Very interesting indeed." As we sit back down, Marlowe's hand in mine, the ring heavy and real and terrifying on her finger, I realize something horrifying. We're not just pretending anymore, and I have no idea when that happened. The kiss haunts me for 3 days. I'm in a board meeting when I taste strawberries. I'm reviewing quarterly reports when I feel her hands gripping my shirt. I'm trying to sleep when I remember the soft gasp she made when I pulled her closer. It's driving me insane. "Mr. Crane, your thoughts on the merger?" I blink, realizing 12 executives are staring at me expectantly. "The merger is sound. Proceed with the proposal." I have no idea what merger they're talking about. After the meeting, my assistant Marcus corners me in my office. "You've been distracted all week. Should I be concerned? My fiancée is moving in this weekend. It's an adjustment." Marcus, who's known me for 6 years and has never seen me date anyone for more than a month, raises both eyebrows. "The fiancé who appeared out of nowhere 2 weeks ago? That's the one. Steve." He sits on the edge of my desk, abandoning professional boundaries. "What are you doing? Really?" I could lie. Should lie. But Marcus has earned some truth. Surviving. My grandmother, the company, expectations. I run my hand through my hair. It made sense at the time. And now? Now I can't stop thinking about how she fits against me. How her laugh sounds like wind chimes. How she called my grandmother out without fear. Now it's complicated, I admit. Marcus shakes his head. "You're playing with fire, and when people get burned in your world, it makes the front page." He's not wrong. But he's also not there when Saturday arrives, and Marlowe shows up at my penthouse with everything she owns, fitting into 2 duffel bags and a cardboard box. "This is it?" I ask, staring at her meager belongings. She sets the box down with a thump. Something inside meows. "And Pickles, the cat. I told you about him. You didn't say you were bringing him. He's non-negotiable." She opens the box and a massive orange tabby emerges, surveying the penthouse with the disdain only a cat can manage. "Don't worry, he's litter-trained and doesn't scratch furniture. Much." The cat immediately jumps onto my white Italian leather sofa. "That's a $15,000 couch," I say weakly. "And now it's Pickles' favorite spot. Congratulations." Marlowe grins, but there's tension in her shoulders. This is as weird for her as it is for me. "So, which room is mine?" I lead her down the hall to the east wing. "This one has the best light. Private bathroom, walk-in closet, balcony overlooking the park." She steps inside, and I watch her take it in. The king-sized bed, the sitting area, the ensuite bathroom that's bigger than her queen's studio probably was. "Steve, this is... I can't..." She turns to me, overwhelmed. "This is too much. It's just a room. It's a palace." She sits on the bed, bouncing slightly. I've never even stayed in a hotel this nice. I lean against the doorframe, studying her. She's wearing jeans and an oversized sweater, hair in a messy ponytail, no makeup. She looks nothing like the women I usually associate with. She looks real. "Get used to it. For the next 3 months, this is your home." "Fake home," she corrects quietly. "Let's not forget what this is." "Right. Fake. I'm the one who keeps forgetting." "There's a gala next Friday," I say, changing the subject. "The annual Crane Industries charity event. 500 guests, media coverage, the works. We'll need to make an appearance as the happy couple." The color drains from her face. 500 people? You'll be fine. I'll be right beside you the entire night. That's what you said about brunch with your grandmother, and I ended up with a $200,000 ring on my finger and a kiss that... She stops abruptly, flushing. "A kiss that what?" She stands, busying herself with unpacking. Nothing, just that it was convincing. Your grandmother believed it. I crossed the room, gently catching her wrist. Marlo, look at me. She does reluctantly, and those green eyes are stormy with something I can't quite read. That kiss, I say carefully, was more than convincing. We were acting. Were we? The question hangs between us like a live wire. She pulls her hand away, wrapping her arms around herself. We have to be acting, Steve. That's the deal. That's the only way this works. Her voice cracks slightly. If we start making this real, someone gets hurt. Probably me. Why do you assume it would be you? Because you're Steve Crane, billionaire, playboy, commitment phobe according to page 6, and I'm a waitress from Oregon wearing a borrowed dress and living a borrowed life. She meets my eyes, and there's such raw honesty there, it hurts. When this ends, and it will end, you go back to your empire and your beautiful, uncomplicated life. I go back to reality. So yes, it would be me. I want to argue. Want to tell her she's wrong, that I'm not that person, that maybe this could be something real. But the truth is, I don't know. I've never let anything be real before. I won't hurt you, I finally say. You can't promise that. She's right, so I don't argue. Instead, I head for the door. Dinner is at 7. I thought we could order in, go over details for the gala, make sure we're on the same page. Steve, I turn back. That kiss. She bites her lip. It scared me. How easy it was to forget it wasn't real. Yeah, I admit quietly. Me too. That evening, we sit on opposite ends of my couch, with pickles firmly between us like a furry chaperone, eating Thai food from containers and reviewing the guest list for the gala. Jonathan Whitmore will be there, I warn. Constance's son. He's been trying to poach our clients for years. Great. More people who think I'm a fraud. You're not a fraud. You're my fiancée. The words come easier now. Almost natural. She looks at me over her pad thai. For 3 months. Right. 3 months. Why does that timeline suddenly feel wrong? My phone buzzes. A text from my grandmother. Bring Marlo to dinner Sunday. I want to discuss wedding plans. I show Marlo the message. She nearly chokes on her noodles. Wedding plans? Steve, we can't. We'll stall. Say we want a long engagement. She'll push, but we'll hold firm. This is getting so complicated. I set down my food, turning to face her fully. Do you want out? I'll understand if you do. This wasn't fair to you from the beginning. She's quiet for a long moment, twirling noodles around her fork. No, she finally says. I gave you my word. 3 months. I'll see it through. Even if it's hard? Especially because it's hard. She manages a small smile. Besides, Pickles already claimed the couch. We're committed now. As if on cue, the cat stretches luxuriously across the leather cushions, one paw landing on my thigh in a gesture that feels oddly possessive. Great, I mutter. Even the cat owns me now. Marlo laughs, really laughs, and the sound fills the penthouse with something it's never had before. Warmth. Later, after she's gone to bed, I stand at my bedroom window looking out at the glittering city. Somewhere in this building, just down the hall, is a woman who's turning my carefully ordered life into beautiful chaos. 3 months suddenly feels both impossibly long and terrifyingly short, and for the first time in my life, I have no idea what I'm doing. But somehow that doesn't scare me as much as it should. The silver gown clings to Marlo like liquid moonlight. I'm waiting in the living room when she emerges from her bedroom, and for a moment, I forget how to breathe. Her dark hair is swept up, exposing the curve of her neck. The dress, one I had my stylist select, transforms her from the girl in oversized sweaters to someone who belongs on magazine covers. Is it too much? She tugs at the fabric self-consciously. I feel like I'm playing dress-up. You're perfect. The word comes out rougher than intended. She meets my eyes and something electric passes between us. You clean up pretty well yourself, Mr. Crane. I'm in a Tom Ford tuxedo that cost more than most people's monthly rent, but the way she's looking at me makes me feel like I'm wearing armor going into battle, which, in a way, I am. Ready to face the wolves? I offer my arm. She takes it, and I feel her trembling slightly. As ready as I'll ever be. The Plaza Ballroom is a sea of designer gowns and tuxedos, champagne flutes, and false smiles. 500 of New York's elite, all pretending to care about whatever charity we're supporting this year while really caring about who's sleeping with whom and whose company is failing. The moment we enter, heads turn. Smile, I murmur to Marlo. They're watching. She plasters on a brilliant smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. How do you live like this? Always performing? You get used to it. Eventually the performance becomes the reality. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Before I can respond, we're descended upon by the first wave of guests. Business associates, social climbers, old family friends, all wanting to meet the mysterious woman who captured Steve Crane's heart. Marlo handles it beautifully. She's charming without being fake, warm without being excessive. When Mrs. Pemberton asks about our wedding plans, Marlo laughs and says we're enjoying being engaged for now. When Thomas Rothschild questions her background, she meets his subtle condescension with grace and just enough bite to earn his respect. She's remarkable, Marcus whispers to me during a brief respite. If I didn't know better, I'd think this was real. I watch Marlo across the room, chatting with my grandmother who arrived fashionably late. Yeah, I say quietly. Me too. That's when Jonathan Whitmore appears. Tall, classically handsome in that boarding school way, with a smile that's all teeth and no warmth. He's holding 2 champagne flutes and heading straight for Marlo. I move to intercept, but I'm blocked by Senator Caldwell wanting to discuss corporate tax reform. By the time I extricate myself, Jonathan is already at Marlo's side. So you're the infamous Marlo Reed, I hear him say as I approach. The woman who infiltrated my mother's charity ball under false pretenses. Marlo's back stiffens, but her smile never wavers. I prefer to think of it as a romantic misunderstanding. Is that what we're calling fraud now? His voice is light, conversational, but there's venom underneath. How much is he paying you? I'm there in 2 strides, my hand possessive on Marlo's waist. Jonathan, harassing my fiancée? Just making conversation. He turns that shark smile on me. Although I am curious, Steve, where exactly did you find her? I've asked around. No one in our circles has ever heard of Marlo Reed. That's because she's not from your circles, I say coldly. Some of us prefer authenticity over pedigree. Authenticity, Jonathan laughs. Is that what you're calling it? Come now, we both know this is some kind of arrangement. The question is, what's she really after? Marlo's hand finds mine, squeezing once. A signal. She's got this. I'm after your appetizers, actually, she says sweetly. I hear the crab cakes are excellent. Steve, darling, would you get me some? It's a dismissal of both of us. A way to diffuse the situation without causing a scene. But Jonathan isn't done. Just be careful, Miss Reed. Men like Steve Crane don't marry women like you. They use them and move on. The words hit their mark. I see Marlo flinch, just slightly, before her mask slides back into place. And men like you, she says, her voice honey-sweet with an edge of steel, spend so much time tearing others down because you can't build anything yourself. Now, if you'll excuse us. She takes my arm, and we walk away, leaving Jonathan staring after us. I'm sorry, I mutter once we're out of earshot. He's always been a miserable ass. She smiles, but it's shaky. It's fine. I knew this wouldn't be easy. But it's not fine. I can see it in the way she holds herself, the way her smile has become just a fraction more brittle. When the orchestra begins playing, I make a decision. Dance with me. Steve, please. I lead her to the floor, pulling her into my arms as a waltz begins. She's stiff at first, uncertain, but gradually relaxes into the rhythm. "I don't really know how to dance like this," she admits quietly. "Just follow my lead. I've got you." We move together, and it's like the kiss all over again. Too natural, too right. Her hand fits perfectly in mine. Her body curves against me like it belongs there. "He was right, you know," she says after a moment. "People like me don't end up with people like you. People like us are just people, Marlo. The rest is just window dressing. Window dressing that costs $50,000. She looks up at me, and there's something raw in her eyes. "When this is over, I go back to being nobody. You'll barely remember my name." "That's not true." "Isn't it? This is all pretend, Steve. The gown, the ring, this dance, none of it's real." I pull her closer, close enough that I can smell her perfume, something new, expensive, that my stylist chose. "Then why does it feel real?" She doesn't have an answer for that. Neither do I. The song ends, but I don't let her go immediately. We stand there, wrapped around each other while the ballroom spins around us, and I realize something terrifying. I don't want this to be fake anymore. "Marlo." "There you are." My grandmother appears, looking far too pleased with herself. "The photographer wants pictures of the happy couple for the Times. Come along." As we're ushered toward the photographer, Marlo's hand slips from mine. We smile for the cameras, pose with appropriate intimacy, play our parts perfectly. But something has shifted. Some line has been crossed that I didn't even know existed. Later, in the car ride home, Marlo stares out the window at the passing city lights. 2 months and 3 weeks left, she says quietly. "Yeah. We should be more careful." "What do you mean?" She turns to me, and there are tears in her eyes she's fighting to hold back. We're starting to forget what this is. What we are. And what are we? A contract. An arrangement. 2 people pretending. She wipes at her eyes quickly. We need to remember that, or someone's going to get their heart broken. I want to tell her it's too late for that. Want to tell her my heart is already involved whether I like it or not. But instead, I say, "You're right. We'll be more careful." It's the biggest lie I've told yet. And we both know it. The photo is everywhere. I'm drinking my morning coffee when my phone explodes with notifications. The New York Times, page 6, Vogue, every society blog in existence. They're all running the same image. Marlo and me on the dance floor, wrapped in each other's arms, looking at each other like we're the only 2 people in the world. The headline reads, "Crane's Mystery Fiancé, a modern Cinderella story." Oh, God. Marlo's voice comes from behind me. She's standing in the kitchen doorway in pajama pants and one of my MIT t-shirts she apparently stole, staring at her own phone with horror. "They found everything." "What do you mean, everything?" She hands me her phone. I scroll through the article, my stomach sinking with each paragraph. Marlo Reed, 26, hails from a working-class family in Portland, Oregon. Her father, Richard Reed, is a mechanic. Her mother, Susan, is a nurse. Reed attended Portland State on a partial scholarship, working multiple jobs to pay her way through school. She moved to New York 3 years ago with dreams of becoming a writer. "They interviewed my neighbors," Marlo says, her voice hollow. "My co-workers. They have pictures of my apartment building, Steve. They described it as modest, which is journalist code for poor." "Marlo, there's more." She takes the phone back, scrolling. "They found out why I was at the Whitmore ball." My blood runs cold. "Why were you there?" She's quiet for a long moment, and when she finally speaks, her voice cracks. "My younger brother. He has cystic fibrosis. The Whitmore Foundation funds research for CF. I thought if I could just get into that ball, if I could talk to Mrs. Whitmore directly, maybe I could convince her to fund his treatment trial. It's experimental, not covered by insurance." She laughs bitterly. Pathetic, right? Crashing a high society party to beg for help. I'm across the kitchen before I realize I'm moving, pulling her into my arms. She resists for a moment, then crumbles against me. "Why didn't you tell me?" I ask against her hair. Because it wasn't part of the deal. You saved me that night, and I thought if you knew the real reason I was there, you'd think I was trying to manipulate you for money. Marlo, I would have helped. That's exactly why I couldn't tell you. She pulls back, wiping her eyes. I don't want to be another charity case for Steve Crane to fix. I wanted to handle it myself. How much does the trial cost? It doesn't matter now. She gestures to her phone. The whole world knows my brother is sick. Tomorrow they'll be parked outside his hospital in Portland. They'll turn his illness into entertainment. Her phone rings. She glances at it, and her face crumbles. It's my mom. I step away, giving her privacy, but I can hear the conversation. Mom, I'm so sorry. No, I can explain. He's not using me, I promise. Please don't cry. When she hangs up, she's shaking. She saw the articles. She thinks I'm being exploited. She wants me to come home. Then go. I'll have my plane ready in an hour. Steve, the contract. Forget the contract. I cup her face, forcing her to look at me. Your family needs you. Go. Be with them. But your grandmother, the company, I'll handle it. Go, Marlo. She searches my face for something, then nods. Come with me. What? Come with me. Meet my family. She takes a shaky breath. If we're supposedly engaged, if this is supposedly real, then you should meet them. And maybe they'll believe this isn't what they think it is. 3 hours later, we're on my private jet to Portland. Marlo is curled up in the leather seat, staring out at the clouds. Tell me about him, I say quietly. Your brother. A small smile crosses her face. Benny. He's 19, ridiculously smart, terrible at video games, but plays them anyway. He wants to be an engineer. The smile fades. His CF has been getting worse. This trial, it's his best shot. I'll fund it. Steve, I'm not doing it because of you. I'm doing it because I can, and he needs it. I lean forward, catching her hand. Let me help. Why? She looks at me with those devastating green eyes. Why do you care so much? Because somewhere in the last 3 weeks you became more than a contract. Because when you smile, my whole day gets brighter. Because I'm falling for you and I don't know how to stop. But I can't say any of that. Not when she's vulnerable and scared and we're flying toward her family who think I'm using her. Because you'd do the same, I say instead. The Reed family home is a small craftsman in a modest Portland neighborhood. Nothing like the estates and penthouses of my world, but there's something warm about it. Flower boxes in the windows, a tire swing in the yard, a welcome mat that looks actually welcoming. Marlo's mother opens the door before we knock. She's petite, with Marlo's eyes and a wary expression. Mom. Marlo hugs her tightly. This is Steve. Susan Reed looks me up and down with the scrutiny only a mother can muster. Mr. Crane. Steve, please. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Reed. Save the charm. We need to talk. She ushers us inside, where Marlo's father waits, a big man with work-worn hands and a protective scowl. The next hour is brutal. They grill me about my intentions, my past relationships, whether I'm really in love with their daughter or just playing games. Richard Reed doesn't pull punches. My daughter is not some toy for a bored billionaire. If you hurt her, I don't care how much money you have. I understand, sir. Do you? Susan leans forward. Because from where we sit, this looks like a fairy tale. And fairy tales aren't real. What happens when you get bored? When the novelty wears off? Marlo tries to intervene, but I stop her. Her parents deserve the truth, or as much of it as I can give. I don't know what the future holds, I say carefully, but I know that your daughter is the most remarkable person I've ever met. She's brave and kind, and she doesn't let anyone, including me, push her around. She makes me want to be better. It's all true, every word, even if our engagement started as a lie. Richard and Susan exchange a look. Then Susan sighs. Benny wants to meet you. He's upstairs. Benny Reed is pale and thin, oxygen tubes in his nose, but his eyes are bright when we enter his room. "So you're the billionaire who swept my sister off her feet," he says, grinning. "Benny!" Marlowe rushes to his bedside. "What? I read page 6 too." He offers me his hand. "Nice to meet you, Steve. Fair warning, if you hurt my sister, I may be sick, but I can still kick your ass." I shake his hand, liking him immediately. Noted. We spend the next hour playing video games. He destroys me at Mario Kart. And talking. About engineering, about New York, about everything except his illness. When we finally leave his room, Marlowe is crying. "Thank you," she whispers, "for treating him normally, for not looking at him like he's dying." He's not dying, not if I have anything to say about it. That night, lying in the guest room of the Reed house, Marlowe across the hall in her childhood bedroom, I stare at the ceiling and face the truth I've been avoiding. This isn't fake anymore. I'm in love with Marlowe Reed, and I have no idea what to do about it. 2 days. Marlowe says it quietly, standing at the penthouse window where I've found her every morning this week. 2 days until our 3-month contract expires. 2 days until she walks out of my life with $50,000 and I go back to being alone. Yeah, I manage, my coffee suddenly tasting like ash. It's been 6 weeks since Portland. 6 weeks of Benny's trial showing promising results. 6 weeks of Marlowe and me dancing around what we both know but are too afraid to say. 6 weeks of falling asleep knowing she's just down the hall and it's not nearly close enough. "Your grandmother wants to set a wedding date," she continues, her breath fogging the glass. "She called yesterday while you were in meetings. She's thinking spring. The estate gardens would be beautiful," she said. "We'll tell her we want a longer engagement." "For how long, Steve? How long do we keep lying to her?" She turns to face me, and there are dark circles under her eyes. She hasn't been sleeping either. She's 94. What if she doesn't have time for us to keep stalling? The question hangs heavy between us. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe it's time to tell her the truth. End this before it goes any further." Something cold wraps around my chest. "Is that what you want?" "What I want doesn't matter." She laughs, but it's broken. What I want has never mattered. I cross the room, unable to stay away from her any longer. "Tell me anyway." "Steve, tell me, Marlowe. What do you want?" She looks up at me, and I see everything in those green eyes. Longing, fear, hope, resignation. I want this to be real. I want to wake up every morning and have coffee with you and argue about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. I want to wear this ring and have it mean something. I want... Her voice breaks. "I want you to love me the way I love you." The world stops. "Say that again." "No." She tries to step back, but I catch her hand. "I shouldn't have said it. Forget it." "You love me." "Of course I love you." The words burst out of her like she's been holding them back for too long. "I've been in love with you since you played Mario Kart with my dying brother and lost on purpose to make him laugh. Since you held me while I cried about the media invasion. Since you looked at me at that gala like I was the only person in the room who mattered." Tears stream down her face. "But it doesn't change anything. In 2 days, this ends. You get your company, I get my money, and we both move on with our lives. That was the deal." "Screw the deal." I kiss her before she can protest, pouring everything I've been too afraid to say into it. She kisses me back desperately, her hands fisting in my shirt like she's afraid I'll disappear. When we break apart, we're both shaking. "I love you," I say against her lips. "I'm in love with you, Marlowe. I have been for weeks, months maybe. I don't know when it happened, but it did, and I don't want this to end." "Then what do we do?" "We tell my grandmother the truth, all of it, and then..." The elevator dings. We spring apart like guilty teenagers as my grandmother steps into the penthouse, followed by her assistant and, my stomach drops, her lawyer. "Good morning," Evelyn says, her voice crisp. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Grandmother, we weren't expecting you." Clearly. Her sharp eyes take in our disheveled appearances, Marlowe's tears, the charged atmosphere. Sit down. Both of you. We need to talk. We sit on the couch like students called to the principal's office. Marlowe's hand finds mine, and I hold it like a lifeline. I've known from the beginning, my grandmother says calmly. The words hit like a bomb. What? I manage. That your engagement was fabricated. Did you really think I'd believe a woman I'd never heard of suddenly appeared as your fiancée? I've had investigators on retainer for 40 years, Stephen. I knew the truth within 24 hours. Marlowe's hand trembles in mine. Mrs. Crane, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize yet. I'm not finished. She settles into the armchair like a queen on her throne. I knew it was fake, but I wanted to see how long you'd maintain the charade. More importantly, I wanted to see if it would become real. I stare at her. You knew? This entire time? Of course, I'm old, not stupid. She almost smiles. And I watched it happen. Watched you fall in love. Watched this arrangement become something genuine. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I look at Marlowe, whose face is pale with shock. We were just discussing that. Good. Because I'm prepared to transfer control of the company to you regardless of your marital status. She pulls out a document. I've realized that requiring marriage was an antiquated condition. You've proven yourself capable. The company is yours. Relief and confusion war in my chest. Thank you, but... However, she continues, I have one request. Stop lying, both of you. If you love each other, and it's quite obvious you do, then be together. Really together. Not because of contracts or company shares, but because you choose each other. Marlowe speaks for the first time, her voice small. Why are you helping us? Because 70 years ago I married a man because it was expected. It was a good marriage, a successful partnership. But it wasn't love. She looks at me with something soft in her usually stern eyes. I don't want that for you, Stephen. I want you to have what I didn't, a marriage built on love, not obligation. She stands, preparing to leave. You have 48 hours to decide what you really want. At the end of those 2 days, Miss Reed, if you walk away, I'll respect that decision. But if you stay, stay for the right reasons. After she leaves, Marlowe and I sit in stunned silence. She knew, Marlowe finally whispers. The whole time. And she's giving us a choice. I turn to face her fully. No contract, no obligation. Just us. I'm scared, she admits. What if we try this for real and it doesn't work? What if the only reason we feel this way is because of the heightened situation? What if... I silence her with a kiss, gentler this time. What if it's the best decision we ever make? Steve, I'm a waitress from Portland. You're a billionaire. This is insane. Most of the best things are. I rest my forehead against hers. I know this is fast. I know it's unconventional. But I also know that I don't want to wake up without you down the hall. I don't want to come home to an empty penthouse. I don't want to face the world without you by my side. We have 2 days, she says. 2 days to figure out if this is real or if we've just been playing pretend for so long we can't tell the difference. Then let's use them. I stand, pulling her with me. No more fake dates or charity events or performing for anyone. Just you and me, being honest for the first time since this started. She looks up at me, hope warring with fear in her eyes. And if we realize it was all just pretend, then we'll know. But Marlowe, I cup her face in my hands. I already know. I've known for weeks. The only pretending I've been doing is pretending I don't want this forever. Forever is a long time. Not long enough, I whisper. For the next 2 days, we'll decide our future. But standing here, with her in my arms and the truth finally between us, I already know what my answer will be. The question is, what will hers be? The 48 hours pass like heartbeats. We spend them doing the most ordinary things, walking through Central Park, eating pizza on the couch while Pickles steals pepperoni, staying up until dawn talking about everything and nothing. No cameras, no performances, no pretending. Just Steve and Marlo. On the morning of decision day, I wake to find her side of the bed empty. We'd fallen asleep watching movies in my room, finally giving up the pretense of separate bedrooms. But now, she's gone. Panic floods through me until I find her on the balcony, wrapped in one of my hoodies, watching the sunrise paint Manhattan gold. Having second thoughts? I ask, stepping beside her. Third and fourth thoughts, actually. She doesn't look at me. I made a list. Pros and cons of staying. And? The cons list is longer. She finally meets my eyes. We're from different worlds. The media will never leave us alone. Your business associates will always see me as the gold digger who trapped you. My family worries you'll break my heart. And statistically, relationships that start under false pretenses. I kiss her, cutting off the list. What about the pros? I ask against her lips. There's only one. She smiles, and it's tremulous, but real. I love you. That's it. That's the whole list. That's the only one that matters. Is it? She pulls back slightly. Steve, be honest. If we do this, really do this, can you handle the reality? I'm not going to magically transform into some society wife. I'll still put my elbows on the table at fancy dinners. I'll still prefer diners to five-star restaurants. I'll still be just me. I'm counting on it. I take her hands. Marlo, I've spent my entire life surrounded by people who perform, who calculate every word, every gesture, every relationship. You're the first real thing I've had in years, maybe ever. I don't want you to change. I just want you. Even when I embarrass you at galas, especially then. Even when reporters call me a social climber. Let them talk. I know the truth. You climbed into my life and made it better. She laughs, wiping at her eyes. That was really cheesy. I know. I'm working on my romantic declarations. You make me nervous. Good. She cups my face. You should be nervous. I'm about to upend your entire carefully ordered life. Promise? Stephen Crane, are you sure about this? About us? I drop to one knee right there on the balcony as Manhattan wakes up below us. What are you doing? She gasps. Something I should have done weeks ago. I pull the family ring from my pocket. She'd taken it off last night, setting it on the nightstand like she'd already made her decision to leave. Marlo Reed, I'm not asking you to be my fake fiancée. I'm asking you to be my real wife. Marry me. Not for my grandmother, not for the company, not for any reason, except that I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life proving it. Tears stream down her face. You're insane. Is that a yes? We've only really been together for 2 days. We've been together for 3 months. We just weren't honest about it. Steve, I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I've never been more certain of anything. I take her hand. Say yes. Take a leap of faith with me. We'll figure out the rest as we go. She's quiet for so long, I think she's going to say no. Think she's going to choose the sensible path, walk away with her money and her dignity intact. Then she starts laughing. Full, genuine, joyful laughter. What's funny? I crashed a charity bowl to help my brother and ended up with a billionaire proposing to me on a penthouse balcony. It's like a bad romance novel. Is that a yes? You're stubborn, demanding you work too much, and you have terrible taste in movies. Still not hearing a yes. She pulls me to my feet, wrapping her arms around my neck. Yes, you impossible man. Yes, I'll marry you. For real this time. The kiss tastes like tears and laughter and the promise of forever. When I slide the ring back onto her finger, it fits the same way it did the first time. Perfectly. I'm still going to embarrass you, she warns. I'm counting on it. And I want Pickles in the wedding photos. Naturally. And we're honeymooning in Portland so I can see Benny. Already planned. We're funding the entire CF wing at his hospital, by the way. I had my lawyers draw up the papers yesterday. She stares at me. You what? If I'm going to have a social climber reputation anyway, might as well earn it by climbing to your level. She hits my shoulder, laughing and crying. I love you so much it's stupid. I love you too. Stupidly and completely. 1 year later. The wedding happens in spring, just as my grandmother predicted. But it's not at the estate. We get married in Portland, in Benny's hospital room, because he's too weak to travel, but too stubborn to miss his sister's wedding. The ceremony is small, just family, Marcus and my grandmother, who cries throughout. Pickles does make it into the photos. He photobombs at least 6 of them. Benny's trial is successful. 6 months after our wedding, he's strong enough to walk Marlo down the aisle at our official wedding, the big society event my grandmother insists on. He gives a speech that has everyone in tears, thanking me for giving me my sister's happiness and also my life. I tell him he's the one who gave me a life worth living. Crane Industries thrives. Marlo launches a foundation for families dealing with chronic illness, funded by our wedding gifts that she refuses to keep. She still embarrasses me at galas, but now she does it intentionally, keeping me grounded. We fight about stupid things. She still insists pineapple belongs on pizza. I maintain she's a monster. She hates that I work too late. I hate that she gives away half my fortune to anyone with a sad story. But every night, we come home to each other. To our penthouse that's become a home. To Pickles, who remains convinced he owns us both. To a life we built on a foundation of lies that became the truest thing either of us has ever known. On our first anniversary, I find her on the same balcony where I proposed, watching the sunrise. Having second thoughts? I ask, echoing that morning a year ago. She turns, and she's glowing in a way that makes my heart stop. Actually, I have news. She hands me a small box. Inside is a tiny pair of baby shoes. Are you? We're having a baby. She's laughing and crying again, the way she does when she's overwhelmingly happy. Due in 7 months. I know we said we'd wait, but apparently fate had other plans. I pull her into my arms, my hand settling on her still flat stomach. A baby. Are you okay? I know this is fast. Fast is kind of our thing. I kiss her forehead, her nose, her lips. We're going to be terrible at this. Absolutely terrible, she agrees. The kid's going to be so embarrassed by us. Mortified. I can't wait. Me neither. 2 years after a desperate woman crashed a charity ball and a cynical billionaire decided to lie, we stand together watching our city wake up. Soon there will be 3 of us. Eventually, my grandmother jokes, there should be 4 or 5. Fill that big penthouse, she says. The life I thought I wanted, ordered, controlled, emotionless, is gone. In its place is chaos and love and a woman who challenges me daily, and I wouldn't change a single thing. Hey, Marlo says softly. Thank you. For what? For lying. That first night. For confirming I was your fiancé when you didn't have to. Best lie I ever told. Best truth, too. She's right. What started as deception became the most honest thing in my life. And as we stand there, wrapped in each other and watching the sun rise on our future, I make her one last promise. The only one that matters. I choose you. Every day. Forever. Forever, she echoes. And we both know it's a promise we'll keep. The end.